Catherine here. Today I'm going to be talking about Salt Lake Comic Con's 2015 fan experience. FanX ran from Thursday, January 29th through Saturday, January 31st. And I gotta say, they have done a fantastic job with this one. They capped the ticket sales at 50,000 instead of what was it last year, like 120,000. It made for a much better experience for those who did attend. Before I tell you about like my experience in more detail, I just want to say that they've improved the app beyond what it was the year before, like way beyond. They not only included panels, but they started putting in the photo op times, and they also included like group photo meetups. They also included times when authors were doing signings. I have to say, it made planning a million times easier. On Thursday, I dressed as Elsa. Oh my god, it took me like 4 hours to do my makeup and hair, but it was worth it. I looked damn fine. I think a lot of people probably thought I made the dress myself, but I did not. My good friend Laura, who lives in Iowa, actually made the dress for me, and she did a fantastic job. I had somebody ask me for a photo before I even entered the convention building. My boyfriend and I were walking up to the convention, and ahead of us we saw an Anna cosplayer, and I didn't say anything to her. I have this weird complex where I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody by asking them for pictures. And the thing is that, like, I love when people come up to me and they're like, oh, hey, can I get a picture with you? I, like, love it. But, like, I'm too freaking scared to do it myself. Like, ugh. Anyway, the Anna cosplayer was in front of us, and one of the volunteers looks at us and goes, oh, I have to get a picture of you two or my daughter will be so disappointed. Or maybe it was his granddaughter. I don't know. But we're like, okay, so we got a picture together, and then we went on our merry way. And then I went and I stood in line for an hour and 45 minutes for one simple thing. I wanted to get my Anthony Michael Hall photo op switched from Thursday night to Friday night. Yeah, an hour and 45 minutes. And let me tell you, the line wasn't even that freaking long. But they only had one computer dedicated to actual like customer service stuff, whereas they had all like 4 or 5 of the rest dedicated to just purchasing. So that was really frustrating for me, and I really hope that that is something that they can fix in the future. I ended up like having a lot of conversations with a lot of random strangers while in that line because we're all just there with tons of time to kill. And at some point, I actually saw the Anna cosplayer again. The people in front of me asked if they could get a picture of us together, and they did, and she whipped out her phone and she goes, oh, can you get one of us on my phone too? And they're like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, oh, suddenly now I'm brave that somebody else has taken the first step. I asked if they could also take a picture of us with my phone, so I got that. So after that, I managed to get in line with my boyfriend to get our free shirts. We got our free shirts in like no time at all. I think we wandered around for a bit before we ended up getting into line for our Nichelle Nichols photo op. Nichelle Nichols played Uhura from Star Trek The Original Series, and we go in there and we got the photo with her, and oh, she was just like so nice, and I just like still feel like, oh, I can't believe I got to bask in her presence. Right after that, we went to a writing panel called Bad Writing Advice, and right after that panel we lined up to get a photo op with Stephen Yeun, who plays Glenn from The Walking Dead. It pretty much took no time at all to get in, so we walk in there and I shake his hand and he goes, you look amazing, in much the same way that you tell a child that their drawing looks so good. And I don't think he meant it to be offensive. I think he was being genuine, or at least I hope he was, because damn, I looked good. He was really sweet, and damn, can I say the man is beautiful? That was pretty much like that day. Friday, I dressed up as Emma Swan from Once Upon a Time, and literally 3 people recognized me, and 1 person thought I was Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm not even mad. I'm actually really disappointed because 1 person who recognized me said that she saw a couple of Captain Hooks running around, and I didn't see a single freaking Once Upon a Time cosplayer, and I'm very disappointed because I was prepared to ask for pictures. I was like ready for it that day, and nope, whatever. The first thing that we really did, it was like right when we got there, we went right to the Red and Rough panel. It's funny because we go in there and like he starts talking and Jonathan's like, I didn't realize that he basically plays himself on Arrow because he plays Ray Palmer in the Arrow, and he he's not like a babbler per se. He's kind of a babbler, but like in the sweetest way, like in an endearing sort of way. But his way of speaking is pretty much like, dude, do you just go into work and like play yourself? Like, no, it's not like a bad thing. Like, he does a great job as Ray Palmer. It was a lot of fun. And then we just sort of stayed for Nichelle Nichols' panel. And I don't know what the hell it was, but like, the instant the woman came on stage, I started getting like weepy. It's kind of embarrassing, and I have no idea why. I love Star Trek and I grew up with it, but I never have felt like something has changed my life. So I honestly like have no idea what was going on with me. I wasn't like sobbing, but like it was just like I couldn't not like cry, and I don't know what it was. I feel like such a dweeb. But the woman is like so great. Like, she's so sweet. She's so confident, and like she understands so much of the world. Like, I mean, I know she's been around for quite a while, but like I loved hearing about like when she was younger, and I loved hearing about the stuff she does now, and like she's just a fabulous, fabulous woman, and I'm so glad that she exists in this world. After that was the Billie Piper photo op. She played Rose Tyler in Doctor Who. She is so cute and so sweet, and when I walked in, my hair was down. She goes, "Look at your gorgeous hair." It was fantastic. Like, she was so nice. Immediately after that, we lined up to get a photo op with Felicia Day. And it was funny because we walk in there and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" She goes, "What's up?" Like, she's so chill. So we pose, we get the picture, and her hand was behind my back, and I think my hair was mostly like behind me at this point. So I guess she didn't like see my hair at first, but as she was pulling her arm like away from me, like she ended up brushing like the ends of my hair, and she literally gasped. She's like, "Oh, is that your hair?" And I'm like, "Yes," like super dark. And she goes, "That is some crazy good hair." And I was just like, beams, beams, beams. Damn, 2 hair compliments in a row. Then we had the Carrie Fisher photo op, and can I just say, like, it was cool that we got to meet Princess Leia, but the woman is like weird. Who brings their dog to a Comic-Con if it's not a service dog? Like, this dog was probably as old as her, and I'm pretty sure it had no teeth because its little like adorable tongue was all flopped out, and like the dog was covered in glitter. Oh yeah, if you get an autograph with Carrie Fisher, she glitter bombs you. At least she's like making it fun and whatever, but like, I mean, still, like, we go in there and like the dog, like there's a dog, and it even gets its own chair. Pretty much right after that, we had the Christopher Lloyd photo op. He was Uncle Fester in The Addams Family and Doc Brown in Back to the Future. He's actually like really tall, man. Like, I was not expecting the man to be so damn tall. And then a couple of hours later, we had the Anthony Michael Hall photo op. Anthony Michael Hall is pretty much like the token nerd from like every 80s movie ever. He was in The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Weird Science. But when he got older, he was also like the jerk boyfriend from Edward Scissorhands, and he was also the psychic main guy in The Dead Zone. So he actually like asked us our names, which nobody's ever, like, none of the celebrities have ever done that before. It was just like really cool. So yeah, that was pretty much our Friday. On Saturday, I dressed as Felicity Smoke, like I've been doing for the last like 3 Comic-Cons. I went in there and I actually had a lot of people ask me for pictures, or at least like recognize me, and like it was really cool. We were a little bit late. We pretty much got there in time for me to go to Creating Cool Cosplay Construction Techniques, which is a panel on making cosplays. It was pretty interesting, but I actually had to leave early because Jonathan's friend Ian was holding me a seat in the Game of Thrones panel because Lena Headey and Nikolai Coster-Waldau were both doing a panel together as the Lannister twins, and I wanted to attend it. And Jonathan couldn't because he was getting a photo op with Ralph Macchio, which I didn't really care about because Hilary Swank is my Karate Kid, not Ralph. So I got in line, I got in, found Ian. The moderator sucked. I'm not gonna lie. He had 0 tact, and he was kind of a misogynistic asshole. Like, he treated Nikolai way better than he treated Lena. The questions that he would ask to kind of get conversation flowing were the kinds of things that will make them never want to come back. Why would they ever want to come back to a convention where they were treated like crap by the person who was supposed to be like keeping stuff flowing and organized and like good? Okay, here's just one thing, for instance, one of the many things. So basically, he asked her like, I don't remember if it was like how she got into character playing such a bitch, or how or if she liked it or something, but like, it was like, dude, like, clearly he hasn't done any research on them, because he would know that Lena doesn't consider Circe to be some colossal bitch. Like, she views her as a survivor doing what it takes to survive in a world where her character could be the next to die for no reason. Like, yeah, I kind of thought it was rude. She tried to kind of like smooth it over, make it seem less like rude, and Nikolai actually stepped up to the plate, and he was basically like, you know, Jamie does even more horrible things than Circe, and yet people still view him as a likable character. And he said something like, people tend to view women doing terrible things as more terrifying than when men do them. And I thought that was a really interesting point to make. I'm really glad that he said that, because it's actually an extremely valid point. But yeah, like, that freaking moderator was just like a dick. I hope that they never let him moderate again. After that, we had the Game of Thrones photo op with the two of them. We're standing in line, and I actually sort of ended up making friends with these 3 girls who were cosplaying as DC girls. They were Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn. We were in line for a really long time, and we actually started talking about Arrow and the ship Olicity and stuff, and we were talking about like what we liked about it and what we didn't. We were kind of like line buddies, and they were really, really sweet. When we got in there, Jonathan was like, okay, which one do you want to stand next to? And I was like, I want to stand next to Lena. Jonathan was like, oh, but I'm gonna look really ugly next to Nikolai. I'm like, sweetie, we can't win. Neither of us is gonna look good next to these people. So we got that photo taken, and then we got back into line to get our photo taken with Brandon Routh. And our line buddies, the DC girls, were right there with us. I managed to get a picture with them. Like, I had to work up the courage. Like, I don't know why, because they asked me for my photo. They were very accommodating. So then we get in there, and Brandon Routh shakes my hand, and then he shakes Jonathan's hand, and then he kind of like double takes, and he looks at me and he goes, are you dressed as Felicity? And I go, yes. And he goes, job well done. And I'm just like, beams, beams. I pretty much felt like I was floating as I was like leaving that area. Like, not only did he recognize my cosplay, but he liked it. Or at least like thought I did a good job on it. After that, mostly I just kind of walked around. I was actually looking for somebody in particular who had messaged me on Tumblr. I will link to him in the description box. And he'd asked me, he said that he and his friend were going to cosplay as Arrow and Cupid. And he'd asked me if it would be okay if they asked me for a photo if they saw me. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I didn't see him. We were going to leave to go eat with Ian. And we're on the escalators going up. And I look down, and there he is. Like, the guy. And so I'm like, oh my god, that's the dude I was telling you about. So like, I went up, and then I went back down on the escalator, and I could see him like walking into like the vendor hall, and I'm like, no, no. He went in, and like, I saw him disappear, and I'm like, no. So then like, I started kind of like jogging, and I was like looking, and then he came like right back out, and so I just kind of followed him, and he goes, oh, I've been looking for you, and I'm like, I've been looking for you too. And then we got a picture together, but like, his Cupid was nowhere to be found. I don't know, like, if she wandered off or something, or was doing something, but like they couldn't find her in time, and like we really had to go because Ian was waiting for us. So that was my experience with Salt Lake Comic Con's fan experience for 2015, and I'm actually really looking forward to FanX 2016 because it was a lot of fun. There were a couple of bumps, but not anything that was like difficult to just slide on over. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.